Hello everyone and welcome to this week's live stream. I'm your host Mods Ayiza and I'm joined by a fantastic bunch of J-Mods today. We have Mod Manked. Hey Mod Manked, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great, thank you. Look at those little supplies you've got in the background. Oh, fancy pants over here. Are they from all your many dead man victories?
They are indeed, yeah.
I was confused. I thought he was in the office. That's just his house.
Yeah, he's just got them, right?
That is unhinged.
Good stuff. I'm also joined by Mod Daizong. Hey Daizong, how are you doing?
Hello, hi, I'm very well. Yes, I'm very exciting to join the live stream today.
Yeah, it's great to have you back on. You saw that you made an absolute wave in the Twitch chat last time you were on, so fingers crossed everyone is as pleasant as they were before, as a new favourite mod to be on. I also have Mod Kirby wielding two god swords at once.
Two god swords, one for each hand. I also need to operate a computer, so I'm going to put them both down again. But I have them, just know that.
Probably a good idea. How are you doing, Kirby, aside from getting a wrist workout?
They're not that heavy, they're just really big. Yeah, I'm doing fine. Bounty Hunter's finally shipped, so that's one less thing to worry about. Now I just need to worry about fixing some of the issues in Bounty Hunter instead.
Yeah, well, we can talk all about those in a moment, but before then, we also have the wonderful Mod Goblin. How are you doing today, Goblin?
Yeah, I'm alright. Been a bit stressed today as well, spinning up a mini blog in the space of about an hour. But I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm really pleased with how Bounty Hunter's gone so far. Enjoyed very much donating a whole bunch of GP off my baby pure yesterday. Yeah, I'm alright. Can't complain.
Good stuff. All right. Well, glad to hear it. If you haven't already figured by the fact that we've talked about Bounty Hunter a few times, we are here today to talk about Bounty Hunter. The highly anticipated PvP minigame has made its grand return as of yesterday. And that's right, this is not a drill. It is in fact back and it is thriving. So if you haven't already, make sure you gear up your pure, head out there and see how many other players that you can best in combat with some form of honor involved, unless you're a cheeky one, not being so friendly. Bounty Hunter overall has been quite the collaborative journey. You know, we surveyed the rewards, got your feedback on them, put them into a beta, let you test them, then went into a poll, and everything apart from minus XP lamps passed, which is pretty monumental for a PvP update. So thank you to everyone for being involved and for voting and for believing in us. And the rewards themselves seem to be going down pretty well, albeit a little bit expensive right now. We'll talk about that in a moment. But yeah, we have a bunch of questions. Before then, let's do the typical age-old announcements. And funnily enough, the first announcement is !game update. So, yep, if you have been living under a rock, Bounty Hunter has made its grand return, so make sure you prepare for it. It's fast-paced on a PvP, there are new ancient warrior equipments and more. You can read all of the details of that update in our news post. That's !game update. Now, if you've already been aware that Bounty Hunter has happened and you're interested to hear about what might be changing with Bounty Hunter, if you actually head to the Oldschool webpage right now, I wonder if our wonderful J-Mods working in the background can get a new command added for BH feedback. There actually was a post put live literally 6 or 7, maybe even 8 minutes ago. Mod Goblin worked hard to put that together alongside the rest of the team. We've been discussing all your feedback changes. There's a few of them that we can go over. What do you reckon? Shall I just highlight what is going to change tomorrow? Should we go over that now in part of this announcement? What do you reckon, rest of the team?
Might as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think it's important for this evening as well, right? So.
For sure. So I think the biggest change, and something to just make everyone aware of, that right now, if you manage to get a hold of some of the imbue scrolls for weapons, as well as the cosmetics for armor, it's currently set that if you die with those, you lose the imbue scroll, even if the item is one of your protected items. So pretty harsh, especially with how long it's taken some people to get points and such. With tomorrow's game update, we're going to be changing that. So going forward, the imbue scrolls themselves will be a permanent one-time unlock that you'll then be able to use on an item. And if you were to die in PvP, or die generally speaking, let's say, for example, the item wasn't protected, your killer would get the base item, but you'd get returned to the imbue scrolls. You can then go and use it again on another item of your choice. Now, that's not coming until tomorrow. So until then, just be a little bit cautious that if you're not willing to risk losing your imbued item, then maybe save it until tomorrow's game update has happened. But just wanted to let you know about that. So yeah, going forward, imbue scrolls, one-time unlock, permanent. You don't have to worry about losing them. you just lose the base item. Unless it's your protected item, then you'll obviously keep it alongside the imbue as well. In addition to that, if you have, by some chance, been unfortunate enough to lose your imbue in the time between the update yesterday and tomorrow's update going live, we will be able to refund you the points for one of them. Just one. So if you've bought like 3 Abyssal Dagger imbues, then we can only refund you for one of them, but we'll at least be able to give you the points back in some capacity. So I would probably recommend just holding out unless you really want to take the chance and risk it. Maybe get a few cheeky headshots with the new Dartbow imbue or something like that. There's a whole bunch of other changes as well. If we get time, maybe we can go over those once the rest of the announcements, the sneak peek's done, before we get into the questions. But that's the biggest one coming in tomorrow. And then we've got a whole load of changes for next week's game update. And we'll talk about those just as we get into the questions, because some of them are answered within the questions anyway. That being said, moving off from Bounty Hunter temporarily, exclamation mark navigation in the chat if you're interested to hear more about sailing. If you haven't seen it already, we released a blog, this is a video in fact, that details everything to do with the navigational mechanics, which was made by community creator Screetmonk. So if you want to see anything to do with navigation and you just don't want to read all the blogs, you want to listen to it, then cool, that's there for you, exclamation mark navigation. And then last but not least, exclamation mark account. It's been over a month since Jagex account started the open beta. We'd love to hear your feedback. So whether or not you've gave Jagex accounts a try, we want to hear your thoughts. Exclamation mark account for a link to the survey. Please fill it in. Please do help us. We've been really using a lot of your survey feedback recently to make a lot of changes. Hopefully you see that. So I know it takes a little bit of your time, but we do really appreciate it. And hopefully you can see that it isn't time that is just absolutely wasted. We do try and make changes as and when we can. Last thing from me before I can be quiet a little bit, at least until I have to ask questions that others will then answer. It's the sneak peek of the week. A little bit different this time. No content to share with you, but there is something else. If we can get the image up on screen, hopefully you have that. Wonderful Mr. Spear. Where we go. All right, so what's happening? Tomorrow at 4 p.m. BST. So that's tomorrow, an hour back in time from now. For those that aren't too familiar with time zones, it's like tomorrow about an hour earlier. We have a Discord stage, which will be about core gameplay and system loops of sailing. So we're going to be talking about the most highly anticipated topic of the skill, how you'll gain XP, and how sailing fits into the game of Oldschool as a skill. Now, we love these stage chats because it lets us hear your feedback before the blog goes live. We can read your questions and ideas there, and we've even started inviting speakers to ask questions through voice chat, as long as you're very sensible, mature. We're all sensible and mature here, right? No one would say something silly over the internet. But it's been really, really, really useful for us to help shape sailing together with you. So if you've got a Discord account, make sure you join the Skilling Discord. If you type exclamation mark Discord in the chat, you'll get a link inviting you over to that server, which the stage will be happening at. And then all of this, if you're not interested in staying up to date in the loop, being involved with us, having a little chat, cozy, you know, fireside vibes with the J-Mods, then we will be releasing blogs that detail all of the information afterwards. So you'll get to see that. There may even be another video. There will be. I don't know why I said there may be. We've literally commissioned videos for all of them. But you know what? Whatever. Join the stage is cool. It will be good. You get to see first hands-on experience of what we're going to be doing for core gameplay and such. Okay. Now we can get into the Q&A. Right, first question.
You just want to go for the full hour?
No, I mean, I probably could, but I don't know. I don't want to be honest with you. Is there a plan to release tradable / GP rewards for Bounty Hunter?
Yeah, I can take this one. So I think we know that PvP is a high-risk activity that can be harsh on new players. So we have the design for an earning potential system during the development of the Bounty Hunter, and the goal for this system is to give some extra money bonus to encourage new players and provide some reward potential, so players won't be punished so much when they are killed. And unfortunately, we don't have enough time to implement this system before the release date, but I can see now that this EP system is under the development now, and we're hoping to have it released soon once the development has been done.
Amazing. There you have it. Confirmation that in addition to the GP that you get from the loot off your opponent, in the very near future, perhaps even a matter of a few weeks, once development finishes, there will be earning potential being added to Bounty Hunter, so you get a bit of extra loot on top as a nice little reward just to keep you fueled through those times that maybe you've died 15 times in a row and are really feeling the struggle of a rebuild. That will hopefully help. And for those of you who are on killing streaks, you just get even richer. It's a win-win, really. Big news, though. I think that's one of the things that's been most asked about in terms of Bounty Hunter from when we first started talking about it. So I'm sure many players will be happy to hear about that.
I'll say
okay.
just quickly to
Go on,
jump
go
in.
ahead.
What we're currently working with is not too dissimilar from what we wrote about in the first design blog for Bounty Hunter, which I want to say was like mid-February.
Okay.
Inspired pretty heavily by community design made by like a bunch of people. So if you want to dig out that initial design blog and get a look at what it might look like and the way that it's meant to kind of help new players without being like a big target for like bots or like 76k tricking and stuff like that, dig that blog out. I would do it, but I can't be bothered, I'm not gonna lie. So like,
Wow. Okay. Well, we heard
just
that.
not right now. I want to be
ask if
present.
you had like, do you have a handy TLDR or anything?
Have a risk above a certain amount, build up EP for every minute that you're eligible to receive a target in the crater. You'll receive some EP if you die to your target a certain number of times per hour. And then when you eventually cash in any EP that you've earned by killing your target, you'll get some kind of reward that will have like some blighted supplies, that will have some GP in it and things like that. And it mostly serves as a way to help you kind of recoup costs from deaths as a newer player. But obviously it then also increases the kind of consistent loot you get if you're just absolutely blasting people left and right like Manked was yesterday with his 83 points an hour Bounty Hunter performance for 3 hours. That's the TLDR, I think.
Cool. All right, sounds good.
No one's corrected me, so I'm going to presume it's okay.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, we'll explain it all in a future blog, so look forward to that once it's ready. Okay, next question. Why is there no free-to-play Bounty Hunter world? The original creators were free-to-play, and in the spirit of unifying the PvP vision... What is that PvP vision? I think it makes sense to include this group of players. The entrance fees are great.
We finally got...
Actually, there we go. I may have also forgot to mention, because I was completely unprepared, distracted by creating socials for the post that Goblin just worked on. We're actually going to be watching some fights in Bounty Hunter in the background, so if you want to get involved, maybe we'll see your fight going on, then head to the creator. What world are you in, Kirby?
567 is the other UK one. I tried the first one. The animations were a little funky. No, because the animations got a little funky because there's a lot of people. So, well,
there's going to be even more now.
I haven't tested this yet, so it could break horribly, but that was pretty underwhelming. I'm not going to lie, but yeah. No, there were people fighting here a second ago. Oh, there we go.
Are you
I
able
think
to
you
like
might still have
render
to put
people?
yourself in the lobby because Oculus
Yeah,
won't
rather than
render
move the
people
camera.
outside of your character's render range.
Oh lord, I'm going to move around.
But if you can Jmod telly
Hold on.
and don't have any money, and you shouldn't get targets, right? So it should be okay.
Oh no. Hold on.
All right, just don't fight anyone, probably.
You the dragon
not here.
warrior.
I don't remember why I set myself up like this. Hold on.
I'm
gonna
not
put myself
here.
Here. I'm going to pull the Oculus Sword back on. Everybody carry on as normal.
There we go. Look at that. We got it. It works. All right. You're just going to have to, figure out moving around and using the Oculus Orb at the same time. It might even be easier to just not Oculus and just invis yourself. Like, render self and run around.
I'm here now. I'm just going to leave the camera like this and hope people show up.
Okay. All right. Well, back to the question then. Essentially, why is there no free-to-play Bounty Hunter world?
Because we didn't have plans for one at the start, and we don't normally include free-to-play when we make new content aimed at higher levels. It's like, for free-to-play content, we usually have a design of we want to make free-to-play content. Bounty Hunter was not that, so we just defaulted to assume it was for members. When this came up initially, I was like, could we do that? We could do that. It'd be interesting to do that, but given the fact that, free-to-play is not necessarily the priority at all times, it would be lower on the priorities list, but I think it would be cool.
Yeah, I think apparently not everything will be working in free-to-play, like some a lot of the reward item is the member item, and also like the risk value when we do the matchmaking might not be working. So I think we need to be cautious on this, and we'll need some time to investigate and discuss this possibility later.
Yeah, just to sum up, like, watch this space. It's not like a hard no, but there's a lot that we need to do to Bounty Hunter first before we consider looking at it and whether or not we'd be able to do it. So that's all. Not like a hard no, but yeah, we're aware that some people want it. We'll let you know, but it might be a bit.
Cool. I think it makes complete sense, right? We'd obviously want to focus on Bounty Hunter coming back in the first place and it being in a healthy spot for members and making sure that it's all functional and everyone's happy with the way that it works and such before we consider something like free-to-play. If we were to add free-to-play on, it would have expanded the scope quite a lot and we wouldn't be having Bounty Hunter right now. But it's not a no, just not right now, something that we'll look into and investigate. At the end of the day, it will cost extra development time if we wanted to make it available in free-to-play. And ultimately, I think the decision will come down to the value that would provide over enhancing Bounty Hunter for the members and maybe even working on other content within the wilderness and beyond. So we shall see. Okay, so next question is around deposit fees and how the minimum deposit fees are really low. New players don't tend to PK Unskulled. What are your thoughts on increasing these fees?
I think firstly, the minimum deposit fee is the same for both the Skulled player and Unskulled player. The difference between them is if a player died in the crater, the Skulled player will lose 10k, but Unskulled player will lose the same amount of the points that equal to their minimum deposit. And the other thing is, if we increase the minimum deposit, we might stop the new player to join. But we hear you. We hear there's some concern about that, so we're open to this issue and would like to hear to see if it's become more issues for more people, then it's something we are open to tweak that.
I think one point of feedback that has come through was players would like to be able to skip Unskulled players, so that might also fix this issue. So I think our first call of action will be to allow you to skip Unskulled players, and then if the small risk is still an issue, then we can look at that again. But yeah, hopefully that should fix that issue. So anyone that's new to PKing can still have a smaller risk than everyone that's been doing this for quite a few years.
Great, thanks both, and I appreciate it, Manked, because now I don't have to ask the next question, which was around Unskulled targets being a free skip. So that was going to be the one, and yeah, just to reiterate, we're open to looking at the changing the kind of like deposit fees and how much you lose when you're Skulled versus Unskulled, but the biggest change that is going to be coming next week is that Unskulled targets will be a free skip, so they won't count towards your penalty. So if you don't want to fight Unskulled people, you can just skip them and you don't have to worry about it counting to your 30-minute timer, which I think will be a welcome change for many. Okay, so another one actually, which we can talk about because I know that we're looking at changing this next week and it's in the news post if you haven't seen it already. But the question is, Bounty Hunter rewards seem a bit expensive for only being able to have one emblem at a time. Is there a plan to reduce these prices?
I can jump in.
Shoot.
The short answer, yes. We'll be reducing the prices a little bit next week. We mentioned that in the news post that we just put out, but we haven't shared specifics. We might not go down as far as some people would like in week one. We'll just kind of see how people feel about it. It's a tricky line to walk, right? Because we want it to feel like an impactful chase goal for you to grind out and get. And then once you have like a piece of, if you have like Vesta's chain body, for example, I think it's a chain body, maybe it's a plate body, pretty sure it's a chain body. But if you have Vesta's chain body, you don't lose it ever, right? So it's like a permanent unlock. At the same time, don't want it to be the case that people who are maybe, able to take like a week off work and just play 16 hours a day are going to be kicking your teeth in like full Vestas by like this weekend, and you don't really stand much of a chance. So we're going to reduce them. We're open to reducing them more, and just want to make sure that we get the balance right, especially as people have more time to unlock them and see how they feel about having had unlocked them, if that makes sense. As well as like the Ancient Warrior stuff, we're looking to rejig the prices for some of the Blighted stuff and the Combat XP lamps as well. I think a lot of people felt like they were kind of underwhelming, and we'd maybe been a bit too conservative on that front, which is fine, right? But again, making changes, open to making more.
Cool. Nice. All right. Good answer. Thank you. Appreciate it. Next question. Would you be able to add an armor stand to the Bounty Hunter hub? It's inconvenient to have to leave Bounty Hunter to have Purdue repair your stuff, then come back to fight.
Hear me out, right? What if Purdue was also in the Bounty Hunter lobby?
Oh my god.
Coming
Imagine.
to an update soon.
Yeah, this is one of the big pieces of like feedback for just a nice quality of life. If you don't want to have to do the walk of shame through Ferox Enclave back to the crater. Thank you. I stole that one out of the blog from Goblin. Appreciate it. Then
I made
Purdue
that walk about 20 times yesterday.
But yeah, Purdue will be added into the Bounty Hunter lobby area. Is that going to be next week, Kirby?
Probably. Watch this space. I don't want to guarantee anything, but probably.
Hopefully for next week then. All right. This should be a relatively quick fire question, and I'm just going to answer it myself so we can move on to the next one. Sorry, stealing it from you all, but can we get an Australian Bounty Hunter world? Yes, we added one yesterday. So this question must have been added in before that world was done, because we put the post out quite early after the update, but there is one Australian world. And then there's a follow-on question, which is, could you consider a US East world for us players who can't play on ping? The answer to that is that with next week's update, I believe we're going to be changing the second US West world that we added yesterday into a US East world, which will mean that with next week's update, we'll have 2 UK worlds, 1 US East, 1 US West, and then 1 Australian world for players to be using. So for those of you who really fancy getting your fast switches and clicks for ping preferential, that will be there for you. Until then, you'll have to just put up with the worst ping on a US West for now. Okay, now I don't have to answer the next one. This person personally thinks there needs to be more of a penalty for Rogue that to double Voidwaker off spawn and run to safe zone and repeat. Becoming hard to be ready to triple eat when spawning into the crater. What do you think about this?
I can go for this one. I think although if you're paying attention, it is relatively hard to die to rushes, we do hear the outcry of it is annoying being rushed and you're having to waste a lot of food and then having to go bank. So I think the plan is to introduce a brief period where you can't be attacked when you first enter, just a few seconds, so you can not be rushed instantly, and that should hopefully make that a bit more difficult, as you'll hopefully be paying attention once you've gone in for a few seconds.
I think the plan is to set that to 6 seconds, I want to say. And then it will be, you can't be attacked by like a rogue, but you could be attacked by your target if they're omniscient and figure out the exact spawn that you're going to roll in at and spam clicking on you, which seems pretty unlikely. And then if you attack somebody else within that immunity period, you probably lose it, right? It makes sense. But yeah, hopefully for next week. If not, then the week following, but hopefully next week.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the answers. Okay. Why did you make the decision to allow no teleporting whatsoever? This changes the nature of the fight, making it more about longevity rather than KOing your opponent. That gives builds like Voiders with Dragon Knives a massive advantage, since they consistently deal out high DPS and quickly nuke anyone who attempts to run away because they ran out of food.
I can take this one. So, well, I say like during the design phase of Bounty Hunter, we have considered several different options for the rules in the crater, and we had a community consultant to understand like what community prefer. So like what about the prayer protection, what about the teleport, what about entangle spell, and the feedback we got at that time is like a lot of people prefer the no teleport rules and also like no prayer protection, no entangle spell, and that's how we implemented it in the Bounty Hunter now. But however, there are also other options we had at that time, like to allow no rule crater, so allow the player to teleport or use the prayer protection. So as it's been released now, and we can hear we have more people to playing it. So we'd like to see if many people would like a crater with different rules than the current one. So please let us know, and we are open for the new ones.
Thank you so much, Daizong. What a great answer. Hopefully that helps everyone who was curious. And yeah, just to reiterate on that, it was was originally looking at 2 craters, one with the rule set that it is now, one without a rule set at all. Opted for the 1 crater to bring more popularity, but if activity keeps up as it is and players really want it, we can look at considering adding separate craters with different rule sets, if that's something that you desire. But the real reason for no teleporting whatsoever in this crater is because that's what most players said they wanted, and that's what we went with. So hopefully it's not too much of an annoyance for those of you out there who don't like it. I think though, over time, we just get a little bit more used to it. I personally have been enjoying watching people running away from fights and hoping to be able to make it to the center and surviving. But I understand the feedback and why it can be a little bit annoying if you're running low on food, but it's the nature of the game in the craters. So, okay. I think there's another question just after this, but we've already covered it. It just asks, why was it decided there'll be no protection prayers and binds? I think Daizong really already covered that well. So what about... Oh, okay. All right, hold on. The next question is, are there any plans to add a separate no honor crater with overhead prayers and freezes? There are no plans right now, but we are open to it. There is a potential for us to do that if there's a large enough demand to warrant us implementing it.
I just want to say quickly on the NH crater point real quick, because I know a lot of people are asking about it, and something I'd be keen to... I don't know, people can spam the chat and I'll just take a screenshot or something. But I have some concerns about the NH crater in terms of... Are the people asking for it not concerned that you'll take more brids out of the wild if you do that, and there's already a bit of an activity issue? Is one of my kind of worries with an NH crater. I feel like for NH to... Because NH is a style, right, where it's all bets are off and you're trying to survive, because you're in the wilderness or something. To me, it feels more like what Bounty Hunter is for, is getting more people into PvP, and then there's even more people for us to be targeting when we make wilderness updates in deep wild, especially north of around Magebank and stuff, right, where NH properly flourishes, as opposed to just tacking it on to a system which is ultimately not designed to do that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. It's just some of my personal thoughts, and I don't know. Let me know what you think. Feel free to at me on Twitter or reach out and chat about it a little bit. Be nice though.
I know I'm not the chat, but I would fully agree with you in terms of that. Bounty Hunter is specifically there for people who want to try out this style of PvP that isn't necessarily as accessible when you're in the wilderness. Whereas the no hole, no honor is really within the wilderness itself. So I do think it would just detract away from the wilderness even more than implementing something like Bounty Hunter in its current form could. So seems like a lot of chat were in agreement with you too there, Goblin. So you are based as always, they say.
I still want to hear from some other NHs and stuff like that though. I know there are a lot of people in NH communities, like Dino's chat, for example, West Ham's chat, who really want one. So keen to see.
Cool. Well, maybe they will reach out and let us know. Okay, the next question is... Where am I? Here we are. Thoughts on allowing people to use the buff D-Long, D-Bow, etc. in PvP, but outside of Bounty Hunter. So not the wider game, still within PvP, so I assume the wilderness, but outside of Bounty Hunter.
Not explicitly against it. Would probably want polling, but...
we're definitely want polling.
Yeah. I can't imagine it being too popular because these things can hit quite hard and players like living usually, but if you don't mess around, you don't find out, as I'm paraphrasing somebody. So yeah, it might be worth a go. I don't want to swear. Last time I did, I got yelled at.
You only live once, Kirby. It's
Yeah.
alright. Unless you're in old school, and then, you just respawn. Probably
Sadly,
at Ferox.
I only die once and probably very painfully.
Well, okay.
And on that note, moving on.
Yeah.
Back to kill my animation.
I think that the reality of it though is that we are open to it. Similar to if there's huge demand suddenly that these rewards should be usable outside of the wilderness and in the main game. I've seen a lot of comments, especially on the good old subreddit, where players have been saying that these weapons could do with a buff, generally speaking. Why is it exclusive to just Bounty Hunter? The only thing stopping us from doing that outside of the development time needed to make it happen is you, the players, right? If that's something that you want, we can look at polling it, and that would obviously have to be polled, but there is potential for us to do that. The main thing that we wanted to do, because we saw that feedback when we were looking at adding the rewards in the first place, was that we really wanted to make sure that Bounty Hunter was in a good place, and that any rewards that we were going to add just didn't have any unnecessary risk associated to them, especially when it came to polling with the nature of PvP and such. So keeping them exclusive to Bounty Hunter means that those that play Bounty Hunter, had more chance of having something that they could then use within the minigame. Having them restricted, but yeah, really, we can look at it. It just depends on if you want it or not.
I think my worry, and it's kind of the same as the next question as well, because the next question asks, why is there hesitance in bringing some specific imbues, like the Abyssal Dagger one outside of Bounty Hunter?
Mm-hmm.
And my only, one of the things that I'm concerned about, obviously, is I completely get why people are asking about it. And then I worry we go through this pipeline that seems to happen a fair bit, where these things are Bounty Hunter rewards, people want the Abyssal Dagger imbue outside of Bounty Hunter, people say they're forced to do PvP to get the Abyssal Dagger imbue, so then they put loads of pressure on us as a community to add another source for the imbue, and then Bounty Hunter loses one of the unique reasons to engage with it. I don't know if that's also an ideal pipeline, and I feel like that is what is likely to happen. So yeah, I'm not too sure. I think it's fine for them to be BH exclusive at the moment, and maybe the cool thing about the creator, right, is it's a bit of a playground, right? You get you get a chance to be able to see how they actually feel versus other players without it being in a beta, so people are actually using them quite a lot, and you get a sense of them, and then you can kind of better understand their place in the game and things like that. And then maybe we'd be open to polling it down the line. I just really don't want to be in that position, right? Because I just think that is one of the things that sows divisiveness between the PvP and the wider game community. And one of the things Bounty Hunter does really well is a PvP update for PvP players, or for people to just do fully opt-in PvP as opposed to trying to do other wilderness content, etc. I don't know, just my take.
I think it's a fair point, though, and definitely a consideration for us to, keep in mind, and for the rest of the player base too as well. It's not just as simple as obviously adding it in, because it can then look at people being more incentivized to boost or sell kills, so on and so forth. Whereas at the moment, it's very much kind of a pure activity where the only benefit that you have from doing those kind of things is that you get the rewards faster within Bounty Hunter. It's not like they're going to be usable outside, so it's still very much contained. And I really like the fact that right now, Bounty Hunter is, as Goblin mentioned, a bit of a testing ground for us of sorts. We can add in, so many different effects that just won't impact the rest of the game, and trial and test them out, and really just have a lot more fun and freedom than we would anywhere else. So those restrictions are good at the same time as maybe a little bit bad for those of you who want a cool weapon outside of it. But let's have a look at the next question. I kind of want to bring this one up anyway, because I think that we'll get a good answer from it, that maybe whoever answers it will be donned as based as well. But what's the reason for not making the Statius Warhammer usable everywhere, including outside of Bounty Hunter in the Wilderness? It has a very niche use and will more than likely only be used by pures in Bounty Hunter. This could have been a nice upgrade to the Dragon Warhammer.
I don't want to be the guy who puts the strict upgrades to one of the more annoying grinds specifically for PvM behind a PvP minigame. It would just feel so weird in terms of progression that you have your premier defense shredding item come from this one PvP minigame where it has its use, but it's not particularly amazing. But you need to play this minigame to get the item that lets you play the rest of the game, because you will need the Statius Warhammer if it becomes a PvM weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So, thanks, no thanks. Maybe Raids 4, but not here.
Well, I mean, people are saying
confirmed, elite.
Oh no, not
make
again.
There are comments though about making it obtainable in other ways too. Then why don't we just implement a different item that is purposely made for PVM that is obtained from PVM, rather than trying to bring something that is for PvP? It came part of the Ancient Warriors equipment, and shoehorning that in, it feels way more natural. Plus, as well, do we really need a Dragon Warhammer buff like in PVM?
No,
I don't think so. But
we need to make
I may be mistaken.
For time.
Oh, hit Tecton? Okay, yeah, I think that's a Tecton issue, though. His one defensive... I was going to say a word that would probably have got me into a lot of trouble, so I'm glad that I didn't. I nearly slipped. All right, swiftly moving on. Why do I get a 30-minute timer AFK after skipping a looter and having 5 fights with someone and running out of time in the safe, question mark, I think that may say safe zone. Are there any plans to fix this?
Sounds like you skipped 3 times and just
Manked is muted.
He's trying really hard.
I'm muted.
There we go.
Oh.
Okay. Hello, everyone.
Used to be a streamer, by the way.
Live from Mank's basement.
Look, it is what it is. So we did discuss this earlier, and we think that adding more time for you to bank after you've just had a fight with someone, so currently I think it's 5 seconds, and maybe making that 15 seconds, should give you enough time to fight the same opponent more, if that's what you wish to do. Because we know there are some builds around, I think, the 90 combat build, where there's a lot of voiders and they just try and outlast you, and they just make you eat a lot and then run away. So hopefully you'll be able to get a chance on them now, and then go bank, have more time to bank, and fight them more often, and have more chances to kill them. So you're not, getting forcefully skipped, essentially. And then you can actually use your skips on looters or whoever you want to.
Cool. Thanks, Manked. I think as well, just may as well be worth adding here that we know that also at the moment players are hitting the skip limit without realizing. You get a warning to say that you'll be quite close, but it's the same warning regardless of whether it's like you are quite close or if it's your last skip. And one of the changes that we'll be making is that if you are getting to your last skip, it will now tell you that if you were to skip this target, you will encounter that 30-minute penalty, so that you'll at least have a heads up that if you are clicking the button and it is going to give you the countdown, that you'll know to either avoid it or accept the fact that you're going to have to take a shower in the next 30 minutes or maybe grab some food, something like that. The next question is that in traditional PKing, XP has always been gained. Why does this act like LMS to where you can't level up during combat?
This isn't traditional PKing, it's Bounty Hunter, it can be its own thing, doing its own rules, and one of the probably more annoying things, especially with like some of the tighter level bans we offer, is that you want to have your account set up how you want it. It is very easy to brick an account, and the XP gain you get from PvP is probably decent, but not the primary reason why you want to do PvP in the first place, so it's probably nice for everyone if we just don't.
And also, we use players' comeback level to decide the minimum deposit. So if player actually getting XP, if they accidentally level up, their comeback level will increase inside crater, and the cover drop may not matching their current comeback level. That's simply unfair for the people who fight them.
Yeah, I think as well the other thing is like really early into design, obviously, we floated the idea of doing the same as the OG creators where we had like 3 level brackets, right? And one of the things with those back in the day was it was super annoying when you leveled out of a bracket or something like that. So it was kind of a feature we talked about back then because we didn't want people to level out of a bracket. And then we shelved those because otherwise people would have just sat at the top of a bracket the whole time. And that would have been a bit annoying. So fake XP drop, so you still know when to combo, etc. But enables a bunch of like niche builds and things like that wouldn't otherwise be possible, which is kind of cool, and just, stops people from leveling out of a bracket that they particularly enjoy, right? Because in some cases, one level is the difference between fighting people with a similar build to you, and then suddenly it's just voiders with knives. Nobody likes voiders with knives. I don't.
You're feeling a little bit sore after being stabbed multiple times yesterday.
Oh, I've never wanted to quest defense more. Never wanted to quest defense more in my entire life than last night. My God, getting 52
I've
power
also
was a mistake.
Oh, you're just gonna have to get the levels, and I knew it was over doomed as soon as you mentioned that. Like, you're now being forced into leveling your account, powering through. But yeah, back to the point of no XP gained. I've seen so many positive comments from players as well, just not having to worry about risking accidentally bricking their build by choosing a different attack style by accident in the midst of combat, or just a little mistake here or there. So a lot of cool benefits that have came from it, and I really just don't see a huge amount of downsides apart from, yes, you don't get to get that training experience, but if you're doing PvP primarily for getting experience, well, guess what? You can buy experience from the reward shop. So if you're not interested in all of the other rewards, or maybe you've got enough of them and you want to get some XP, then you could buy it. But I don't see us changing this, to be honest, unless there's considerable, and I mean considerable, feedback to say that it should, because as far as I've seen, the positives just from all of the players that have mentioned it far outweigh the negatives, at least. Okay, so what happened to being able to watch other players PvP from the lobby? I see a ladder that goes to the second floor, but it doesn't work.
Well, I think it is. Sorry,
you go.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think it's like.
I did actually know this was here. I was like, wait a second.
That's alright. I'll stop. You go.
No, I was like, it's just set dressing. I don't actually. I need to talk to Art about maybe enabling this upper layer as like fancy mapping if we wanted to do that. But you can see outside the battle still. Spectating from the middle thing is just like, yeah, you can sit in the middle and watch people fight out here, except maybe not on this world because it's way too busy. But yeah, it's a nice to have, but the ladders just don't.
Yeah, that was something. You go. I'll jump in after.
All right, finally my turn. Yeah. Yeah. So what I want to add it is we actually blocked all the second floor area and first floor area inside the crater intentionally, because we don't want to have some hidden space that player can hide there to avoid fighting their target. I think we have that kind of issue in the previous Bounty Hunter when it happened in the wilderness. So yeah.
Yeah, I'll say on the being able to watch other players from the lobby, it was something that I kind of wrote into the blog as like flavor, because the lobby was like in the middle. So if you're at the bank, you can see some players, but obviously the distance from your character at which the game actually wants to render entities like players isn't that high. So you don't get to see very many. You get like a couple of people like jumping in and out at like the very edge of your vision. But I don't know, maybe we could do some kind of like a scrying pool similar to what like the fight pits have. I don't know if it's like super worth the dev time or if it's easy to do, but that could be cool. Don't hold me to that though. I don't want to say this on the stream and have everyone off where it is for every single
very far down the backlog, but maybe.
Yeah.
If you are really keen to watch a lot of fights going on, you could just tune into a Twitch streamer who is showcasing some Bounty Hunter content. There's quite a few of them that go live. I know it's not the same. You don't get to be in game, but you can still be in game, do your AFK things, give them some views at the same time, get them that ad revenue. You know how it is. Keep supporting the creators.
Here's what you do. You get into your Bounty Hunter lobby. You line up the side, so it's like half your screen is like outside in the actual combat area. And then what you do is you take your Twitch player, you pop that out, and then you move it to the Bounty Hunter area. So now it's like the Bounty Hunter's happening there next to you.
Just extended screen. Great, I love it. Okay, what about the next question? And that is, can you please make it possible for Irons to get emblem drops from targets? Back in Bounty Hunter V1, Irons could get emblem drops from targets. Currently, it's significantly harder to profit points on an Iron than a main because you have to buy the emblem every time you die. It would also be nice for Irons to get bonus points for killing targets with emblems like mains do.
Can take this?
Yeah, I spoke about it, so I was waiting for Manked to jump in. But he said no.
Yeah, no, realistically, I think Iron Man, you know what you're in for, and I think it's fine. You can boost very easily on an Iron Man. You could literally get your friend to go get a higher tier emblem and then get that on your Iron Man, and that feels wrong. So I think the way the system is right now, although it is more difficult, you kind of did opt in for that. And if you want those rewards, then you just got to get really good at PKing and just kill everyone. And then you won't have to buy emblems from the store. Yeah.
And he's speaking as someone that plays Iron and used to PvP World PK on a hardcore Iron Man, but before you act like he's clueless and doesn't know the game mode.
That's my job.
I mean, you can't say that about Dead Man Mode winner. Come on now.
Two-time.
Oh wow, two-time
Two-time.
champion. We're never going to let you forget about that, Manked. And I'm sure you don't want us to let us forget about it either, right?
Definitely not.
Okay, all right. Well, we've actually done really well on questions. There are obviously a few more that we want to get through. So let's go to number 20 on the list. With no protection prayers, the introduction of ancient warriors' weapons, and the convenient spec restoring pool, do you feel that Bounty Hunter has become a rusher's dream? Are there any plans to combat rushing further than the 30-second leave penalty?
Yes,
Kind of spoke
and
about
yes.
it earlier, right? So
Yeah.
I know that one of them was the 6-second immunity when you first spawn into the crater. Unless your target is near you, they'll be able to attack you during that immunity period. You'll also be able to attack other players during that immunity period, but it will remove said period. But rogues won't be able to attack you for the first 6 seconds, so that will help from some form of rushing. Was there anything else in regards to that? No?
No, don't think so.
Cool. All right, shaking heads.
No, I will like amend this slightly and say one of the points that we wanted to Bounty Hunter is we wanted this to be fast, where we're not like forcing you to play these like long drawn out tribrid fights with like everybody's just like stacked up on a Sarah Brews and you're just constantly just top each other up. We want you to go out there and go kill people. We're giving you the tools to do that. Please go out there and kill people.
Yeah, if I see anyone in the crater in granite boots, SERP helmet, or DFS, you're getting permed. I want to see it.
Whoa, okay. I'm not going to be putting in that request, Goblin. That's all on you.
Guardian boots, even. I misspoke. I didn't misspeak on the permed thing, though. Oh, spaced. Go. But also, just to say as well, you'll see in the blog, wanting to add a spec delay as well, so that you can't just like spec and insta-leave. So about 6 seconds, the same as what currently exists on PvP Worlds, I think. I can't remember, because I think on PvP Worlds it sometimes feels somewhere between 4 and 6 seconds, but no one seems to know. But 6 seconds, so you can't just spec and dip.
Cool. That's actually a good point, because we haven't mentioned that one yet. So I've just brought up the blog, and word for word, this is what it says within the blog that you put out, Goblin. Players won't be able to leave the crater immediately after using a special attack, and will be blocked from exiting for 6 seconds, similar to the delay present on PvP Worlds. So that's in addition to the immunity that you get when you first spawn in. If you are trying to, just spam spec people and go through the exit, you'll have to, as of next week's update, potentially wait 6 seconds before you can do that. So those are the two changes we're looking to combat rushing. Otherwise, we definitely want that convenience, and that spec restore pool, I think, was a really good addition. It seems to have gone down really well. Next question. Can we have ornament kits for the infernal and fire capes that evolve based on kill count, similar to the Bounty Hunter hat for veteran player retention, please?
Oh, Lord. If we do a cosmetic for the infernal cape, everyone and their mother is going to need to play Bounty Hunter just to get the cosmetic for the best in slot. Maybe, but I'm not feeling this one, honestly.
It's a risky one, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think we don't have any plan for the new ornament kit currently for the short term. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Maybe. Go on, sorry, Goblin, I cut you off.
I don't think right now stuff like that is not super time consuming, but I don't think with everything that Art in particular are doing right now, especially with DT2, Forestry, looming, I don't think that would be likely something we'd be able to ask for and get anytime soon.
Yeah, that's completely understandable. I think in the future, though, it could be nice to see some form of progression-based cosmetic that upgrades the more kills that you have, like how the hats used to function in the past. I did like those, and I know that other players did. But right now, focus is entirely on what we have at the moment, what's already passed in the polls, and just making sure that it's all good. But there could be potential for it in the future. Things like infernal fire capes, maybe not, but we could have something similar to the functionality, at least, that you're asking for, which will give that veteran player retention, hopefully. Right, next question. Since there is a Bounty Hunter ornament kit for the Neitiznot Helmet, could we possibly see one for the Faceguard? Also, would the team be open to adding more ornament kits, or is the shop already overloaded? I think we kind of covered ornament kits generally just in that previous question. Maybe instead we can spin it around, and as why did we choose the Neitiznot Helmet and not include the Faceguard at the same time? I don't really think the Faceguard gets used all that much in PvP. That's probably, I think, the main reason why, right?
Let's do a survey. How many people on the screen right now are wearing Neitiznot helms versus full face guards?
Yeah, I think the Neitiznot Helmet is the top one we got from our survey last time, right? That's why we got it in the ornament kit.
Yeah, it was very highly ranked. Cool. Well, there you have it. Again, we could be open to it in the future, but right now we're not looking at any additional cosmetics. The focus is on just making sure what we've got works well, and then we can look at it in the future. Is there any chance we will see corrupted versions of the weapons in the future, either with or without special attacks?
So I had a thought about this when we commit to putting them in, and I just thought, what would we even do there? Because we could drop the requirements, but then players would just switch to whips or something else with like high attacks that may not be the new weapons, but like have that damage output that you actually want. And if we drop the tier of the weapon, we need to drop the stats considerably, and if it's a weapon, that's probably the most important slot. You need to have something good there at all points. I just didn't see a useful way of making the Mac actually worth the time. So
yeah, I think also with things like Dragon Warhammer, back in the day, all weapons required attack typically, whereas these days you have different options. So you can have one attack, but you can use a Dragon Warhammer at 60 strength. So that has changed up the meta quite a bit. So like Kirby was just saying, it's quite difficult to find a use for the new corrupted items, but it could be really good as well. I do love seeing new new metas created. So in the future, maybe we could look into how we could implement that.
Cool. All right, and then this is the last question. How incredible is that? I actually managed to get through a full Q&A and ask all the questions. That never happens when I'm on stream.
My lord.
I know. Are there any plans to expand the Bounty Hunter Castle to make it more spacious for players?
Not in the short term, I can say that. And also, if we're changing the size of it, it will affecting the creators also. If it is make it bigger, the only thing would be to the second floor. Like I think we talked about that in the previous question also. Yeah.
Yeah, quite a big change if we were to do that. So no plans right now. And maybe, I don't know, like real estate within the wilderness. I know that it's quite available, but it comes at a high cost. So well, I shouldn't make lame comments like that, should I really? Never mind. It's all good. Why don't we have a look at some wonderful content that our creators have been making before we wrap up and finish the stream off for today. It's our wonderful user-generated content segment. So let's have a look. First of all, we have a reminder that tomorrow there is a stages discussion.
Good work, Modlight. That's gorgeous.
But yes, there is actually, I think normally we would do like that little sneak peek again. So yeah, we are having a Discord stages call tomorrow around core gameplay and system loops for sailing skill. So if you want to hear what is one of the most highly anticipated topics regarding the skill, how you'll gain XP and how sailing fits into the game as a skill, then do tune in to our stage tomorrow. That's at 4 PM on the skill Discord, !Discord in the chat for a link to that so that you can get involved. Now, moving over to the UGC, and first up we have a life-size raccoon, Rocky, I should say. It is a raccoon, so I didn't really say it incorrectly, by Witchcrafty. Absolutely amazing. It is 2 foot tall.
That is bigger than life size. That if I saw a 2-foot raccoon, which would be super unusual in London, if I saw a 2-foot raccoon, I would be terrified.
Well, you know, we just do things different in old school.
Yeah, which
It is
so
incredible.
talented.
100% absolutely is. I need to get my nibbler out of storage. It's been locked away ever since I moved house, and it needs to be back on my desk. So
Yeah,
good.
some stuff, way back. I think I've got like a Vaporeon and an Umbreon all the way tucked away over there. Very talented lady.
Okay, second up, this is from Poke Hunter 69, and I will read out what has been put in here in the script so that it doesn't say that it's coming from my own words. A slightly cursed figurine, which has been carved out of a block of soap and painted with acrylic. So if you ever fancied taking General Grador into the shower, that's your opportunity. You can have a wonderful time lathering up with this spiky boy. It's really creative though, so cool to have made it out of soap. You can do there's some cool carvings in the background too.
Sorry, I'm laughing at the person in chat that said skill specs on stream. Insane.
Alright, that's pretty good. Oh dear. I can though, especially for this one, I can respect the commitment to it because it's not easy carving out of soap. I've done a few little wood carvings and stuff, and one mistake and the whole thing's ruined. So props to have actually been able to get a full figurine out of soap. Incredible. We have from Gothic Gargoyle. This is a Lego Varrock fountain. Absolutely beautiful. Nice. Designed with Lego Studio.
Oh, very cool. I feel like Modsani is going to have built this by the end of the weekend.
He's already thinking about it. Crack out his recently organised Lego collection and start building, I think. Okay, now from this is a hard name to pronounce. Inspler's Trade. Yeah, that will do. This is a hefty-looking 3D printed godsword. Wow, how many sections has that had to been done in?
I see they're also a man of culture.
That is really cool. That looks huge as well. What is that, like 4 foot, surely?
Certainly about that.
Absolutely awesome. I always see these things. I think, I really want to get myself a 3D printer. I know that I'll print one thing on it and then never use it again. And I've already... Anyone else in chat invest into hobbies and find a new hobby every other month to invest into and never touch it again? Or is that just me?
It's happened once or twice.
All the time.
It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this. Oh yeah, I'm going to do this. And it's just like, oh no, never mind. I'm not actually going to do that. I'm just still going to play games.
There's been loads of cool 3D printed stuff recently. I don't know if anyone here saw or in chat as well, saw Radish Boy's Dragon Hunter Lance that was 2 meters long or something like that as well. Loads of people doing some really cool 3D printing stuff. Insane. Very
cool. It was like my Instagram reel. One time I clicked on a 3D printing video and then I just got them for the next 3... I was going to say hours, but I wasn't sat there for 3 hours straight. I probably have been at some point. Anyway, that's how I came about wanting a 3D printer. I'm glad I didn't follow that trend though. All right, lastly, this is from the Facebook community. And it's a fantastic cosplay for a member of the Facebook Oldschool community. They swear they're not a bot. And they got inspiration from myself and Sween's bot busting stream from many years ago. Very cool.
I like the tiny little axe he's got.
Safe for cosplay.
That's true. I'm not actually I can't even think I've seen an axe in real life. Like a proper axe. So I can't actually comment on how big they usually are, but...
I can get one if you want. There's one behind me. Will I get banned for showing an axe on stream?
Well, I'm sat here holding this giant ass godsword, so you'd think not.
It's actually smaller than that one is though, so it wouldn't really give you a great representation of size. That was from one of my other hobby investments of getting into wood carving, and thought I'd use an axe, and actually it's really hard to use an axe to carve little blocks of wood. Who'd have thought? Not me at the time when I bought it.
Carving?
It was for splitting larger pieces and then shaving off the excess for when you want to make a spoon, but I never actually made a spoon. I just chopped one piece of wood of it and it's been in its sheath ever since. So All right, enough about my real life endeavors. We'll save that for another day. Okay, that's all we have time for. So, thank you everyone for tuning in. Does anyone have any closing words before we wrap up the stream today?
I would avoid Bounty Hunter because I'm going to go PK.
Oh, Mod Manked out on the sticks. I heard you got some pretty decent kills yesterday. 250 points in 3 hours. Like, who is this demon?
Yep, it was good.
You've been rocking the classical when you Bounty Hunter, or are you past that now?
That's only for tournaments. I'm just playing random songs. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll tune in and lurk again, I'm sure, if you're going to be on the Twitch television yourself. But yeah, otherwise, thank you everyone for watching. As I said, thank you so much to Mod Goblin, Mod Manked, Mod Daizong, Mod Kirby for joining us. Thank you to Mod Spear for helping with the production, to Mod Light, to, oh my god, I'm going to get told off now for forgetting everyone else's mod names. I'll ask for forgiveness in the stand-up tomorrow, but I really appreciate everyone who has helped out in chat as well. Enjoy your evening, everyone. Have a great one. Oh, go on, Goblin, go on.
Mod Yume, Mod Alcyone, and Mod Vex, I want to say.
Thank you. There we go. I'm glad that you knew.
It's all right.
I'm so sorry. But yeah, have a good one. Enjoy Bounty Hunter. Remember, if you don't want to lose imbued items, then potentially don't risk them until tomorrow. There will be a big change. Check out the news post. It has all of the cool stuff in there that we're going to be changing over the course of the next week or so as well. But yeah, thank you all. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.